Hey, how you doing? So this is Neil, and I showed people this right here. This really cool hadouken, and I had a few people ask me, hey, can you show like how you do that in code? And so I figured I'd go ahead and show you guys how to do a hadouken in Game Maker Studio 2. This same logic you should be able to apply to any Game Maker, honestly. So Game Maker 1.4, whatever. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. The logic will be the same, and you should be able to pretty much write the code. I think there might be some things that are a little bit different. So you just know how to use the version you're using. This will work for Game Maker Studio 2 for sure. But if you want it to work for other ones, just make sure. I don't know if this is different in Game Maker Studio 1.4, for example. That is, how do you does this script or function, same thing? Does this function work in Game Maker Studio 1.4? I'm not sure. It should. I think there's a way to. I don't know if you write it just like this or not, but it should. So if there's something like that that doesn't work, just know that you have to figure out how to do that in 1.4, but the logic will be the same. Okay, so what we're going to do is how to do hadouken. So first let me explain the overall thing, how it works. So first off, we need to capture our button pressing. And that's what all this does. This captures a button press, and then it assigns a letter to it, similar to a variable. But this is the variable here, and it's a string variable, so it's going to add that to the string. I'll explain all this in just a second. The next thing we have to do is we then have to define that into a local variable, so that that whole length, basically now length will equal this whole thing, whatever keys I pressed. Don't worry, just a fast overview. I'm going to go through all this in just a second. The next thing I need to do is I need to tell if my length is greater than 0. That is, if there's keys in my string, my string equals something other than just blank, then I need to have my total time equal my total time plus my time step. I'll explain this in a second. Finally, I need to remove the first letter that as it passes through time. As my time ticks away, I want one letter to disappear from my string. That way they have a limited time to do the combo. Otherwise you get infinite amount of time, and you don't want that. The faster I set the timer to remove here, and that's the create event here, I'll show this in a second. This is 0.5 right now. If I want it more lenient, you can set that to like 0.9. If you want it more strict, that is, you have to input the inputs quicker, make that like 0.3 or something. I don't recommend going faster than 0.3. It gets ridiculously you have to do it way too fast. Okay, and then next I need to capture only the last 3 characters, or however big your combo is. And I'll show how to do that. You just simply change this number here, and then you can do the last part of the combo. The reason I'm doing this quick overview is a lot of people already know, they'll understand this code just by looking at it, and so I can just go through it really fast, and they can go, oh yeah, I understand that, and they can write it. They'll be done with the video in just a second. They won't have to watch anymore. But for others, I'll have to go through and explain what all this is doing, so that you understand how to do it. Because you have to know how to implement this into your game. Next is, after you do all these local variables and capture, first you capture the last 3. After I capture the last 3, I also need to say what 3 I want. In this case, my whip blast equals DFP, only if DFP is true. So if my last 3 equals my DFP, so if what I press is DFP and my whip blast is DFP, so in other words, what I pressed equals this, and this delay, then it's going to reset my keys, reset my total, and it's going to change my states. That's it. That's how it works. So it captures that particular set of keys that you pressed, and then it's going to change me to my state, and my state is my hadouken state. And so really quickly, this uses a finite state machine. So you go to the scripts here and player, and so it'll change me to my hadouken state, which is this. The main part of my hadouken state is here, and remember, it creates 2 hadoukens, one low, one high. This right here says if my animation that I'm using for this particular state is between frames 3 and 5, and I only have 1 hadouken. This is just, if you don't have a variable set to true or false, then you're going to create many hadoukens during this, even though it's only 2 frames. So even if I set this to equals 3, it won't work. So you have to set this up. Because my script runs in my player, then I don't have to put player.1 hadouken, because this script is running inside my player. So I just have this inside my player create. So 1 hadouken set to true right now. Down here I set it to false within this time frame, And then to set it back to true again, I do that inside the idle state because they have to enter the idle state before they attempt to throw another hadouken. And so I set that back to true. If there's more than one state they can be in before attempting another hadouken, I'd have to put that in those states as well. But for example, I know that even if they jump and throw a hadouken, once they land on the ground, it immediately puts them back into idle state unless they're already walking. But even then, if they jump, are pressing right on their D-pad or something, they would land in the walk position, therefore they never enter idle. They would go from jump state to walk state. Once they try to press down, which takes them into actually the down state or the duck state, then, or the crouch state rather, once they press down, it'll flick them to the crouch state. But once they roll it forward or try to press forward, it then is going to take them into the idle state before it goes into the walk state again, because there's that little space of neutral even if they roll it. But if you want to make sure, you can throw it in the moving in the walk state as well, but I haven't been able to get it not to work, so they are definitely going into idle state before they throw the hadouken again. Anyway, so that is the overview of how the code works. Now let's go ahead and break down what's happening here for those that need more explanation. So in the player, so you want to, I personally put this all in O player in their step event. You could put this piece of code and make it its own script, and then you can drop that script into each state that they're going to be in, that you want them to be able to access and do a fireball from. Right now, because it's just in the step event, they can literally do a fireball from any state that they're in, period. It doesn't matter whether they're on stairs or whether they're, falling, jumping, anywhere. If they do this input, they do the move. That's how I want it to be. Up here, this is where it takes them to the very script. This is what will go to different states. If you don't know how to do a state machine, I highly recommend learning it. It's really, really important. Nonetheless, if for some reason you're not doing this in a state machine, then it'll still work. But I don't understand how this would really work without a state machine, like how a game can work without a state machine unless you only have a few moves or something. But anyway, let's get on going how this works now. So how this works is, the first thing we're going to do is, when I first describe how this works, I'm only going to describe it with the actual letters that you're pressing on the keyboard on your computer. Then we'll go through and say what the gamepad means. It's really the same thing. Lastly, I'm going to save the analog, which is here. The analog works differently. You have to use key pressed if you want this to work right, because if you hit just check, it's going to create multiple inputs. No matter how fast you press down forward, for example, you will get multiple downs and multiple forwards if you have it on check. If you have it on pressed, you'll get one register down, one register forward. So if you hit down forward, you'll get one register down, one register forward. That's what you want. So make sure to use pressed. So the first thing is, if my keyboard check pressed or D, this is the D key on the keyboard, which I'm using as a forward button, or to move forward. But notice when I move forward, this is not my movement key. I use it for movement, but you can use the same key for more than one thing. So for pressed, it's going to do this particular fireball, but for moving, I have it set to check, and that's in my movement script up here. Get input. Well, this is my get input script at least. If I want to move right, notice it's keyboard check, VK right, or keyboard check or D, which will move me right. The reason why I want it unchecked for movement is because you want to be able to just press and hold down the key, and it'll walk right. If it's on press for walking, you'd have to press D a bunch of times just to walk right. You have to press as fast as you can to keep walking right, and that's stupid. Okay, it's very important to know that you can use the same button for more than one thing. So for example, I have space key for jump, for pressed, and for check, because I want a variable jump anyway. So if you press this key, I want my keys to equal. So this is the end result. So if I were to rewrite this, I can write it as if keyboard check press or D, and then let's say get rid of this altogether for right now, just a keyboard, and then have the here, just for those that, just in case you don't recognize how I'm writing it, you could say keyboard check pressed, and then have it say ORD D like that, and then you do your brackets like this, and then you would say keys plus equals, oops, come on, what's going on? Oh my god, my fingers. Okay, there we go, plus equals F, like that. So that's the same thing, right? So that's what we're talking about, boom, like that. So another way to do that is you can just have it outside. You don't have to have it in brackets if it's on the same line. If you only have one answer, that is just one line, which is here, then you can have it on the same line. But if you want to have more than one thing happen, like down here I have two things happening, then you want to put it inside of brackets because there's two things happening. Now if you want to, you can still put this inside the brackets like that. I don't think there's any platform that will make either of those lines work differently though. But it's just, maybe it's good coding practice, but up to you. Okay, so, and this is just OR. So OR, if I press down on my D-pad on my gamepad controller 0, then this will also happen. So what's happening then is it's saying I have a variable here. Let's go to our variables. These are the variables you're going to want to set up in your create event. You have your keys variable, which is actually a string. So my keys, because it equals these quotation marks, that means it equals a string. Even though there's nothing in there, it still equals a string. Right, so that variable equals a string. These are true-false variables, so set up these for true-false variables. For actually, you don't need Q in here. Let's get rid of that. That was for testing something else. Forcing the player to have to do a quarter circle turn like Street Fighter. All right, so now we have those true. Then make sure to have this in there. Time remove equals 0.5. This is the variable that you can change if you want for the timing. If you want the player to have more time to do the inputs, then make that like 0.9. If you want it more strict, like Street Fighter or something, make it like 0.3. 0.4 would be right around like maybe the strictness of Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5. If you want it like the strictness of Super or Street Fighter Turbo 2, whatever, probably 0.2, 0.3. You can make this 1/60 if you want. If your room runs 60 frames a second, you can have this be 1 divided by 60 or 1/60. But I recommend delta time divided by 1,000,000 because it's more accurate. Finally, my total time, which equals 0. Okay, let's go back into this code here. So if you don't know how strings work, basically what we're doing is we're writing characters into that string. Right now our string is blank. What this code is going to do is allow me to enter F into the string if I press either of these buttons. So if I press D on the keyboard, or I pressed the right what is that called, the D-pad, right on the D-pad, I guess. So if I press right in the D-pad or D on the keyboard, then it's going to add an F to my string. So right now my string is 0. So let's walk through this really fast. So right now my equals nothing like this, right? That's what my string is. If I press D or right on my keyboard, or not, sorry. If I press D on my keyboard or right on my D-pad, it adds an F, like that. If I press it twice, it adds 2 more Fs. Boom, boom, like that. That's what's happening right now. So it's building up my string. My string is going to continue to build forever right now. Right? It'll just keep on building and building and building. We're going to see it later in the code how we remove all that. But okay, so now we're building our string up. This next line of code is just the next key input. I want some letter to represent if I'm pressing back, and that in this case it's B for back. So these letters can be anything you want, by the way. This F, B, D, U, whatever you want. They can be Q, W, whatever, it doesn't matter. These letters here are very specific. They have to be this because this is your movement. Well, I guess they don't have to. You can make them, but this is the actual key you press on the keyboard. Okay, so the D, A, S, W, these are keys you actually have to press on the keyboard. These keys you're never pressing. These are just what you want to represent that particular key press. So in this case, when I press D-pad, when I press right on my D-pad, I want it to equal F because I know that means forward. So I'm kind of using fighting lingo, you know, back, forward, up, down. Anyway, so hopefully that makes sense. So if I press left on my D-pad, I want it to be B for back. If I press D on my D-pad, down on my D-pad, I want it to be D. Up on my D-pad, I want it to be U. Same thing here. You know, S is down, W on the keyboard is up, right? Also, if you do want to use the analog stick, which I have here, I'll show you that afterward, then put this little piece of code right here. Now the reason why I have this get input code right here is because of this right here. If attack, then I want my keys to equal this. This is basically, just so you know what this looks like. It looks like this, right? So if I press attack, then I want this to happen. I want it to add P to my keys, right? Attack in my get input is set up like this. So you can see attack means either shift is pressed or my phase 3 button is pressed on my gamepad. Phase 3 button is your square on Xbox, or not Xbox, sorry, it's your square on PS4. PlayStation controller, that would be the square button. I can't remember what that is on Xbox actually. It's been a while since I played Xbox. I think it's like, what is that? B is on the right, I think. I can't remember what's on the left anyway. Okay. Maybe A. Can't remember, it's been so long. Let me go back to my player. Hopefully you can read all this. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Can you even see this code? I probably should be like that because I know you can see this if you're on high definition, and this will be HD, so you should be able to watch it just fine. Just make sure in HD, otherwise you won't be able to read this code. I'm just gonna leave it like this. So I've already recorded most of the video like this, so I'm just gonna leave it. Just obviously, if you're having a hard time seeing the code, make sure your settings are on HD for the YouTube video. Okay, so now we've captured the up, down, left, right, and they'll equal letters. And I just want to explain this one more time. So this means that keys equals keys. Another way to write that is keys equals keys plus. So whatever was in my keys previously is still going to remain there. And then it's also going to add an F to it. So let's say I press down. So right now my keys equals nothing. I press down, it adds D. I press forward, it adds an F. And then this right here says if I press my attack button, it's going to add a P. So let's say I press attack, or I'll just say punch. I press punch, and now it's punch. Now it equals DFP, which is actually what I wanted to equal to do a Hadouken. Down, forward, punch. Boom, Hadouken. So you have to press DFP to equal Hadouken. Anyway, so that's what's in there. That's what's in my string right now. I'm like, cool. Let's say I press F, F, F. I press forward, forward, forward. Then I press down, forward, punch. Now it equals F, 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 DFP. This is important because as I continue to explain the code, this little piece right here, we're going to modify it so you can visualize what's happening. Control X to copy and delete it. I like to keep my attack input separate from my movement inputs. Remember, this isn't moving me anywhere on the screen. All this is just creating these letters in my string. So right now we have that string built up. We're going to skip the analog movement for now. I'll go back into that in a second after we go through the rest of the code. So this thing right here is just going to tell me how many keys are going to be remembered in this variable length. This string length is basically going to say how many variables or how many letters are in my keys. Remember, my keys string. Remember, my variable keys is a string. So when this tells me down here what string do I want, string length, well, what string is it talking about? I tell it keys, because remember in here, keys equals a string. So I'm telling it my string length. What string is it? My key string. And what length is that right now? Right now, since we pressed forward, 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 down, forward, punch, it equals this. So this right here, so length now equals this right here. Forward, forward, down, forward, punch. That's what length equals, right? So far so good. The next part here, increase timer if keys are in the log. So this says if my length is greater than 0, which it is, because what is it? It is this, and that's greater than 0. What does 0 look like in a string? Like that. So it's greater than that because there's letters in there, therefore it's greater than 0. What do I want to happen if it's greater than 0? I want my total time to equal my total time. So whatever my total time is, I want it to equal that. But plus, I want it to equal my time step. Let's go back here. So my total time, which right now is 0, I want it to equal, so basically it's 0 equals 0 because it's already 0, but I want it to also add the time step to it. My time step is delta time divided by 1,000,000, which is the same as, I believe, 1 over 60, I think, because I'm running 60 frames a second. So I think it's the same thing. So I think that's it. So checking something. Yeah, so I think it's 1 over 60. I think it's 1 divided by 60, which will add, what, 0.016 or something. I think that's what it does. And so now my time total is going to keep increasing, basically. But remember, but you're going to see in a second why that's important, because we're going to get to here, the 0.5. So once we reach that 0.5, then that's when it's going to reduce. So this is going to keep increasing, like that, right? The next part says, remove the first letters from the key strings if the time has passed. Now, this right here we're going to ignore for right now. Ignore this second part, the OR part of this. To pretend like that's not there. I'll explain that in a second. We're only going to deal with what this right here does. So if my time total, remember my time total is now being increased, is greater than or equals time remove. Time remove is 0.5. So if this is increasing every step, since it's greater, right? Every step it's increasing by 0.016, I think is what's happening. 0.016 plus 0.016, like that, it's increasing, right? As this is building up, once it's greater than or equal to 0.5, then I want to reset my time total back to 0, and I want to have something happen with my key string. I want to change my key string. So hopefully that makes sense. This is increasing my total time by delta over 1,000,000, which I'm pretty positive is 0.016, or whatever, like that. Just divide 1 into 60. It's really close to that. And so it's building up like that. And once it reaches 0.5, then this will happen. So that's why if you set this to 0.3, then less time, right? Because you're going to reach 0.3 faster than 0.5. If you set it to 0.2, it's even faster. So the lower this number, the less time you have to input your combo. The bigger this number, the more time you have. Make sure to reset your time total back to 0 so this whole process will start over again. And then my keys equals string. Otherwise, if you don't set time back to 0, then this will never be true again. And so it'll only happen once, and then only one letter will be deleted. My keys equals, remember, what is my keys right now? So right now, we're saying that my keys equals this. FFDFP. So my keys equals my strings copy. What strings? Keys. So it's copying my keys. So it's still, so nothing's changed so far. It still equals FFDFP because that's what we press. We press forward, 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 down, forward, punch. So that's what my keys equals right now. This is the index where, so the index is labeled as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. So the one on the far left is 1, the next one's 2, 3, like that. The count is how many I want to take from that position. So strings copy is going to copy. How strings copy works is it grabs where, so if I say this is 2, this means it's going to start from the second letter, which is F. Right, the second F. You know what? Maybe I should change the string. Let's say instead we pressed back, forward, punch. Okay, let's say we press back, forward, punch, and then down, forward, punch. Let's say that's what we pressed. So that's our string right now. So what this is telling me where to start from. The second letter which is F, the first F right there, that's where it's starting from. This right here is telling me how many do I want to copy. I'm saying I want to copy the length, which is 6, remember, because it's this whole thing. Length equals this whole thing. So right now that happens to be 6. 6 minus 1, which is 5. So I want to copy 5. So starting from here, from the F, I want to copy 5. It always counts to the right in a string. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm copying from the F over. That's all that's telling it to do. So I'm, damn it, F over to like that. So I'm copying the FP DFP. So I'm copying F P DFP. That's what I'm copying over. And therefore it doesn't copy the B, the first letter. And because it's not copying the B, which is the first letter, then what happens is it erases it. So after this time has elapsed, that B goes bye-bye. Boom. After the time lapses again, because I reset it, F goes bye-bye. Time lapses again, P goes bye-bye. And now DFP equals true, because now my string goes DFP. But as time goes by, the D disappears, and then the F, then the P, and then it goes back to 0, where I have nothing inside my string. F goes away, and then finally the P goes away. Now I have a blank string again. To demonstrate what that looks like, if you have this code, BFP, DFP, if you have this code, oops, I should have made that capitals, huh? Actually, I'm just going to undo. Duh. And I'm going to erase that B because that's what's happening now. Actually, we're going to go back here. We'll leave it like this. But that's what that code does. Now, if you want to see this in action in the draw event, write this little bit of code in your draw events for your this is the X position and the Y position. X position, Y position. I have it set to my player's X plus 20. Player's Y minus 60, so I want it to be above the player's head. If you want this to appear somewhere else, just make your X and P be whatever you want. If you want it to be above a certain object, then make sure that object is X dot X. If it is just on your screen, then just write the number here. You don't have to write X, just write number. Write 200. That would be 200 from the X of your room position. So 200 from the left to the right. Anyway, so hopefully you know how to do that part. It's pretty easy. Let's go ahead and start up the game real fast so you can see the inputs. I can show you how they disappear. Yeah, I have all the code done. Oh, that's right. Forgot about that. I got to delete this down here. Where is that at? Oops. Step event. I got to go. It doesn't know what that is. Okay, so as you see those letters right there, if I press forward, see how they're disappearing? They're disappearing one at a time starting from the left. So if I press down, forward, or if I'll put back, forward, down like that. See how they're disappearing? Boom, 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 like that. So that's what's happening right now. And you can actually test that now to make sure it's working properly. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to grab the last 3 keys that were pressed in that string, because that's, or not necessarily the last 3. We need to grab the last keys that are pressed, period. It depends on how big you want your combo to be. If you want your combo to only be 2 button presses, then you want to grab the last 2 keys, right? So you can use this for a dash, for example. So if I put, FF in here, that'd be forward. And then I can say if ever that equals FF, then we're going to enter into the dash state. All right, so we're almost done actually. The main part is, the hard part is all finished. This part, I don't know, maybe some people think this is the hard part. So I'm going to recapture this again just as a safety precaution. My variable length is going to equal my string length, and it's equal my keys. So remember before, and that's just to make sure that you capture those last keys that are in here after it's been subtracted. But right now we know that my keys equals FFF, or actually we're going to change that to BFP. Okay, so the last things I typed is BFP, DFP. Oh yeah, real quick, what this line of code does, the OR. This means OR if my string length keys is greater than 6, then do this. In other words, this makes it to where I can't go over 6. So I can type as fast as I want, and I'll never see more than 6 things. So once I have filled it up with BFP, DFP, I can then hit P as fast as I want afterwards, and it won't add anything else to my string. Not until one of these letters disappears, then it will add that. So once that B disappears, and I keep pressing P, then a P will be added, but not until the other one disappears because of the thing. Anyway, that's all that does. You want that there, otherwise this will just keep going on forever. You'll be able to, like, until you finally do the move, you can like have a string that's 100 characters long. You don't want that to happen. So make sure this number is larger, one number larger than your largest combo. I don't think anyone's going to have a combo over 6 button presses, but if for some reason you wanted them to capture that input, like, I don't know, maybe left, left, down, down, right, right, punch, which is 7 button presses, then you want this number to equal 8. Okay, back to what we're doing. So now my length equals my string's length, which equals this. This is the same now because this hasn't reduced any, because I have pressed these very quickly, and this time hasn't removed my B yet. Right, so we're just kind of pausing time here for a little bit. The next thing is, wait, why? Oh, I know why. Let's get rid of this real quick. Make sure this works right. It should reset. There we go. So now I want to set up a variable. This line right here is for however many moves you want. So right now I have 2 different moves. They're technically the same move, but for shooting right, hadouken right, hadouken left. And you can name these whatever you want. I could have named this hadouken right, hadouken left. Doesn't matter. Name it whatever you want. I recommend just the last and however many keys that combo is. And then if you have more than a combo that has more than, anyway, just whatever, just name it something that makes sense to you. Okay. Next, I need to define what the last 3 is. Right now, this is just setting up my variables. I still need to define what they are, which I do down here. This next line is going to tell me what this variable equals. So this is where I recommend naming your move. In this case, I called it whip blast. You could call it hadouken, whatever. It works like a hadouken, so I could call it that, but I called it whip blast. Originally, I was going to have it shoot out of the whip, but I decided to change that. Anyway, so whip blast equals DFP. I can change this right now. It's not a big deal. It's only in these 2 places right here. So I can change the hadouken if I wanted to. It doesn't matter though, as long as you understand what's happening. So I want whip blast to equal the very combo itself. So make sure you put the very inputs you want the player to input to do this move. I want them to have to press down, forward, and punch. And only if they press down, forward, and punch, and only if that equals true, then I want the move to work. I'm going to skip over this section here because this is the second move. This is how you add on moves. It's really easy. So now I need to say that my last 3 equals my string copy. What string copy equals my keys? So in other words, it still equals this because that's the last 6 keys I pressed. Oh wait, hold on. I keep forgetting to copy this. So it equals that, sorry. BFP, DFP. So that's what it equals. So now it's going, okay. Remember, just like before, this is the exact same function that we used before. The first thing is the index. Where do I want to start counting from? Remember, it's B is 1, P is 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I want to start at the length. So I'm going to take the length of it. The reason why I'm doing length is this way it's the code is expandable. I could put a clear number. Let's say I want to start directly from D. I just want these last 3. Then I don't have to put any of this here. I can just say start at position 4 because D is position 4. So I can put 4 here and it's going to start from 4, which is D. And I say I want to capture the last 3, or I want to capture 3, so it starts from 4, 5, 6, and it gives those ones right there, right? However, then I'd have to change this. It would, I guess it wouldn't be too big of a deal, but anyway, this just makes it easier to update stuff. So we're going to do it this way, because if you do it that way, just type, I'm just saying there isn't, you could just put 4 there just to understand what's happening. Change that to 4 and it will work. And just to show that, let's go ahead and change that to 4. Control X to copy and get rid of that. I'm gonna push down, forward, forward, or down, forward, forward. Oops. Let's try that again. Down, forward, forward. See, the D is already gone by the time I do it because I have it set pretty fast. I'll do down, down, forward. There it is. Down, forward, punch. Oops. Down, forward, punch. Wait, why is that not working? Hold on, I gotta see something. Okay, I see down, forward. Oh, my thing's messing up on me again. I think it's my gamepad. I don't know why it does that. If I roll it, it doesn't do it. But if I press down, forward, it wants to do 2 Fs. There it is. That's not the code. That's my gamepad. There it goes. For some reason, my gamepad, it wants to register more than 1 F. Okay, now it's back to normal. Okay, got it working again. I don't know why it does that sometimes. It's kind of a cheap controller. Anyway, I just want to prove that it works. Okay. So why does that equal 4? Because it's going length, which is 6 right now, which is here, the P. Remember, 6 is this P right here. It's starting from the P. And then it's subtracting 3. It doesn't subtract itself though. So instead it goes 1, 2, 3. So it puts us back at this P. Well, we don't want to start from that P. We want to start at the D. So then we plus 1. And plus 1 puts us at the D. Now you could just have this be minus 2, right? So you can just say, just to show you, we could just put this to minus 2. And that will also work. I'm going to explain why I don't, oh wait, hold on. It's not gonna run the game. Get rid of that. The reason why I'm explaining all this is because for those that don't understand how the code works, I think I would want this kind of explanation when I'm first learning. So notice it doesn't go past 6, see? It doesn't go past 6, and it still will capture, it's going to only capture those last 3 as far as when I actually do the move. As you can see, the move is still working. If it weren't capturing the last, if this code wasn't doing what I'm saying it is, if this little piece, if I was wrong, that wouldn't work right now. It wouldn't be capturing the last 3, it'd be capturing something else. And that move wouldn't have worked. Okay, anyway. Let's go back here to where we were. So the reason why, so why not just put 4 there? Why not just put 2 there? You know, minus 2. The reason why is because I want, when I go update to make a new move, I want to only change this number and this number to be the same number, so that way I can update my move very easily. Let's say I wanted a move that has four letters in it. I wanted you to go back, down, forward, punch, which is 4. I want to capture the last 4. All I have to do is change this to a 4. Oops. This to a 4 and this to a 4. Like that, and then I'm going to add back here. So now it's down. Oops, my bad. Not that way. Now it's back, down, forward, punch, which is a full half circle roll. And all I have to do is then change. Oops, that has to be 4 plus 1. I don't know why I deleted the plus 1. Okay, so now it just has to be, 4 and 4 because I have 4 letters now. Otherwise, you'd have to figure out every time what you want this to be. You have to be like, okay, how many is 4 letters back? You have to do all this thinking. There's no thinking. Just this equals this. The amount of letters equals these 2 numbers, and you're done. Just to show you that it works. This is how easy it is to make a new move. Notice now, if I just recopy that line, I would have a whole new move. See? So now if I try to do a down forward or a quarter circle turn, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't work. I have to press down, back, forward. I can roll it. When I roll it, it works. For some reason, when I pressed, see here, back, down, I don't know, my D-pad's messed up. See, I'm pressing down. Look at this. I'm pressing down back down, and look at it's recording an F in there every time. Why is it doing that? If I just press back a bunch of times, it doesn't record F. If I press down a bunch of times, it doesn't record F. If I press back down, why is it recording F there? That's a lame controller. So actually, with this controller, I have to roll it, otherwise it doesn't work. That's weird. Anyway, just want to show that it's working. My controller is like really jacked. That's weird. Make sure it's not the code. I don't think it's the code. Yeah, why would back down press F somehow? It means it's pressing the whole entire. When I'm pressing down back on my gamepad, somehow it's like pressing the whole lower section down, which is also pressing forward a little bit. That's stupid. Cheap ass controller. Oh well, it works for Street Fighter movement. So that's what's cool about this code. It can do either a Mortal Kombat strict input where you have to actually press down, then press, or press back, then press down, then press forward. With a good controller, you can do that and it would work, or you can just roll it like Street Fighter. So it does either one. Okay, so I just want to prove that works. And so look, all I'd have to do is copy this, give this a new name, give this a new name, and now I have a new move ready to rock and roll. Let's go and get rid of that B. Make these back to 3 because we only have 3 letters in our combo now. So the second part, like I said before, is just telling how many do you want to capture. So you're copying from your string. How many do you want to copy? I want to copy 3. So what it does, so what this right here is doing is it's saying, it's taking this right here, it's counting from D, 3 from D, so always counts to the right. This function always counts from where you tell it to count, and then it counts that many from the right. So I'm telling it to count from D and count 3. So D is 1, F, P like that. So it copies those 3. So I have DFP. So it basically takes this and reduces it to DFP. Now it's not erasing it though, but that's all it's capturing. So it's so now my last 3, this right here, my last 3 variable equals DFP. So I actually pushed in BFP DFP. That's what I pushed in, right? That's what's in my string right now. But this piece of code right here reduces that to DFP, and it stores it in this variable last 3. So my last 3 actually equals DFP now. This is important to understand because watch. We're going to come down to the second part of the code, which is the part that actually does the move, or takes us to this state that does the move. I'm going to show you how to easily test this without having to have a state yet. So you can actually write this code in a blank game document and make it work without having to actually have any character or anything. And I'll show you how to test that by just changing this to a show message. Okay, so now if last 3 equals whip blast, what does whip blast equal? Up here, whip blast equals DFP. What does last 3 equal? Remember, it equals DFP now because it did equal this. But this piece of code copies these last 3 only from the 6 characters. And so now last 3 equals DFP. So if DFP equals DFP, which is true, I'll describe this in a second. This is something different. If DFP equals DFP, then do all this. Reset my keys back to 0. Might as well just reset it back to nothing. So now it erases all the keys that were left in there. So now it's just back to no keys at all. Set my total time back to 0. That way the whole process can start over again. Recounting the numbers. And then my states equals states Hadouken. This takes me to my state that produces the Hadouken, which I showed in the beginning of the video. But you can also just change this to test it yourself, make sure it's working. I recommend doing this before actually, then you can put whatever you want in here. We'll put a Hadouken. Make sure to put the quotation marks, Hadouken. You can write whatever you want in there though. You can write yes, true, worked, whatever. And so I recommend doing it this way. So before using this code to actually try to go to a state, make sure it's consistently bringing up show message, because it would suck if it makes it easier to figure out where the problem, if some problem happens, it's better to figure out now. Because if there's a problem somewhere in your code, you copied something wrong, and the Hadouken's not coming up consistently, you can track it down here. If you automatically link it to a state, the problem might be in your state, right? It might be in your actual script for carrying out the Hadouken. So get this working first. After this is working, then and only then, after this is working flawlessly, only then link it to an actual state. Run the game to show you that it works. Hadouken! And it works. Notice it says DF there. When I quit now, there's nothing there, so it automatically deletes it. You don't get to see the P because this pops up before it registers the P. That is, this is faster in GameMaker. This is faster than the actual draw event drawing the P. I was trying to get it to register the P, but I can't. Okay, doesn't matter. Just want to. That's why it's not showing it. And that's all you have to do, and then you're all done. Now let's go into other cool stuff you can do with this code, like the analog stick and things like that. You have to treat the analog stick separately, so stick around for that. Otherwise, you're probably not gonna be able to figure out how to do it. It's actually kind of difficult. Well, you might be able to figure it out, but to figure out a solution might take you a while. It's not easy. Okay, so now you got the basics down. So if you want to add another move in here, so this will only shoot a Hadouken to the right. What if I want to shoot a Hadouken to the left as well? And so in my state, I handle whatever direction my character is facing, that's the direction it shoots the Hadouken. So all I have to do is this will just tell it whether it's going to enter the same. Notice it enters the same state because my state handles whether I'm shooting left or right. However, if I press down forward punch, it's not going to shoot to the left. So anyway, this is down back punch. So down and then left press and then punch, and it'll shoot to the left. The code is exactly the same. So I just add last three number 2. Last three number 2 equals the same thing as before. Everything's the same. The only thing that's different is now I want it to be DBP. That's it. So now if I happen to press anything I want, but the last 3 is DBP. So let's say I press, I don't know, DD, F, and then I press D, or I press, down, back punch. So as long as these are the last 3, then it's going to capture those last 3. Now my last 3 too is going to equal what? DBP, which is here. And since my last 3 equals DBP, just go down here. My last 3 equals my whip blast 2. My whip blast 2 equals what? DBP. This just captured DBP. They both are true. Boom, it carries out the move. Hadouken delay. I think I'll spend a little bit of time explaining this because it's a problem you'll probably run into when you're throwing any projectile. It's going to throw more than one projectile, and you want to be able to make that not happen. So into scripts here really quickly, then I'll go back and show you the other moves with the analog stick. Sorry, how to program the analog stick. Before we do the analog stick, actually, really quickly, before we do anything else, really quickly, if I want to add a new move, all I have to do is right here. Here, hold on. Let's just add a new move really quickly here. We'll say the last 4. Last 4. That's what it's going to equal. And then, let's see here. I'll make the move down here. So I'm going to copy all this right here. Just save me some time. We'll call this Whip Blast 3. Actually, we'll call it Super Blast or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter what we call it. You're not going to see anything except for a message. Super Blast. How do I want to do Super Blast? I want to do Super Blast by pressing back, down, forward punch. That's my Super Blast. I need to change this to 4 because we're capturing the last 4. This is a 4-button combo press. The amount of letters equals these 2 numbers. Simple as that. Then all I have to do is copy one of these over. So I'm just going to copy this one for right now. I'm going to put it right underneath here so I know it's easier to delete. So I need to change this to last 4 because that's what we decided to call it. We decided to call this Super Blast. Oops. Super Blast. Boom. Hadouken delay is going to work for anything I want it to work for, and then show message to make sure it worked. Super Blast. And there we go. That's literally all you have to do to add a new move. Now, if you want to capture a different button press here, you have to go up here and make another button press equal something. So right now, you know, this button press equals P. Make a different button press. I don't know, maybe triangle or whatever, and have it so whatever you have for triangle, if keyboard button press, whatever you have for gamepad, I think it's gamepad 4. I think that's what it is. I think it's gamepad, anyway, whatever it looks like, 4, whatever. Just go look it up real quick. You just click on this. It'll take you to the movements and right here. So the triangle is right there. GP face 4. Bam. So now you got triangle press. You just put, you know, if keyboard check press, just like, or if gamepad button check pressed, 0, comma, and then, you know, whatever that was, GP underscore face 4, whatever. Then keys plus equals whatever you want it to equal, whatever letter. Let's say K for kick or something. And now you got the kick in there. So now you have another button press. Now you can put K down here into your movement. You can put K in here anywhere you want. Okay, so let's test out the move, make sure it works. Because my D-pad's kind of messed up, I'm going to have to do it Street Fighter style. I'm going to have to roll it. This is a half. What did I do? Variable last 4, not set before reading it. Okay, let's look at that. I mean, I just saw it said last 4, so I'm just going to look at the code. Last 3, last 2, last 4. Oh, I forgot to change. Oh, that's right. I copied and pasted it, but no, wait, no, I did. What are they talking about? Hold on. Let me look at this for a second. Oh, right here. Is that where I messed up? Oh, yeah, I forgot to change this to last 4. Okay. So this is now a half circle forward. That's how it would be written in like fighter lingo. It's half circle forward punch. And Super Blast. Notice BDF, not just DF, because I had to press the back. So that's a half circle forward. Yep. Super Blast. The reason why it still carried out the Hadou is because remember, down forward. Just down forward punch equals the Hadou. However, so make sure that if you want priority in your code, so right now I think if this were set to an actual animation, let me check. I wonder if it would do it twice. Let me check. I'm just curious. Instead of this, I'm gonna put this here. I wonder if it's gonna try to do it twice, or I think one will override the other. Which I'm pretty sure this one will override because it comes first. Okay, so that was normal. It's hard to, well, actually I already know what override what because the message overrid the other thing. Let's try this real quick. Let me go back to here and let me try to move this down. I'm just kind of curious. Let's move it down here. I just wonder if Hadou will override the Super Blast because they both use the same input or part of the same input. That half circle turn has DF included in it, and notice DF is the last 2. Okay, so Super Blast takes priority regardless of where it's at. It looks like because I guess because the part of it is pressed first. Because notice here, it's last here in the code. This is the last. These are written first, or these are read first. And it's last here, yet it still came out first. And I think it will override. Or no, it won't override though. That's the problem, is it might not override. So if you come across that issue, I don't know for sure because I don't have another state to take this to. I mean, what other state could I take it to real quick to just test this out? I'm pretty sure it would override. Let me see here. Let's go to state equals states dot I'm just trying to think of something that's like clear and different, but short enough. I don't have any other super move type thing. So let's just go to, I'm going to go to attack 3, which is my kick. That one has a decent amount of attack 3. There we go. That one has a decent amount of frames in it. What I'm checking right now is I want to make sure that it doesn't try to do both. That is, I don't want it to do the kick and then immediately do the hadouken afterwards. Okay, so it is overriding. See, that time it did the kick. If I just do forward, it does the hadou. Okay, so cool. That's good to know. So if I do the full half circle, it's taking me to my kick. That actually feels good. I like that half circle kick. Immediately go to the kick, which does 2 damage. That would be kind of fun. Boom! Just fucking kick shit in the face. Oops. Come on. Oh no. Oh, you know what? I wonder. Oh, because the hadou. I can't do the other move because it's on the same timer. That's cool. I like that a lot. I might actually keep that in the game. Ah! Oh shit. Oh shit. No, no, no. Ah, whatever. I should have just whipped her. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I like that. I wonder if I should keep that in the game. It's really fun. Feel just instantly, because the only other way to do that kick is if it's the last part of a 3-part combo. And so you can't just like do it instantly. You have to like do the first 2 parts of the combo first. And then that kick comes out. And that kick is low enough to kick low characters and high enough to kick high characters. So it's kind of, you know, and it does 2 points of damage, and that's why it's at the end of a combo. But that'd be kind of fun just to be able to like walk up and just do that kick by doing that half quarter circle turn. Anyway, my point is that I don't think it matters where it's at in the code. It's still going to overwrite. I think it's overwriting because remember, keep in mind I'm still doing that, but it's registering this. Oh, because it's taking the last 4, not the last 3. But the other code takes the last 3. So this one's taking the last 4, this one's taking the last 3. This one's registering as true, and this one's registering as true. But for some reason, this one's overwriting that one. I'm just trying to figure out why, because right now I have them, it reads this one first. This reads first, and then this reads true first. Since this reads true first, you would think it would do the hadouken before doing this one. Like that, you'd think this would overwrite it because of the order it's in, but for some reason it's not. I'm trying to figure out why. I don't know why. But it still works fine. Like both of them work, so I guess that's all that matters. I don't have to. But what if you wanted? I'm trying to think. What if you? Anyways, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed all this good shit. I know it's long, but it took a while to explain everything, and that so you understand everything that's happening. If you've learned something, do me a favor, give a thumbs up, you know, leave a comment. I'd really appreciate that. Comments help more than anything else. And share the hell out of the video. If you'd like to see anything else, me to cover anything else, if I get enough comments of people asking me, hey, can you cover that, or can you cover specifically how to do the if you want to restrict it to just Street Fighter controls where you have to do a roll, you can't hit down forward, you have to actually roll down forward. That is, you have to roll, it's called a quarter circle forward. You want to actually have to do a quarter circle forward, I can show you how to do that. There's a way to do it, and it's not too difficult. But yeah, so let me know what you'd like to see. Thanks for watching. Next time I'll see you. See you next time. Whatever.